So we are recording. It
Are we
is,
online?
we are recording and audio's working. It is September 12th, 2021. So I had a question for Wendell
Hold on just a
Haws.
minute. I got to make sure my hair is just right.
I was wanting
Yeah,
to
I'm ready.
hear the testimony of Jesus Christ, or whatever you think of, Dad, when you think of a testimony. Tell us what your testimony is.
Okay. Yeah, that's a multifaceted thing. First of all, just pure testimony. I know that Jesus Christ lives. I know that I'm a son of heavenly parents. I know that Elohim and Jehovah did indeed appear to Joseph Smith. And when he inquired of them which of the churches is true, and an interesting part of that appearance that I like to mention sometimes is they had to introduce themselves. They look alike. Joseph Smith couldn't tell the difference. So Elohim spoke first and said, "This is my beloved son, hear him." So then Joseph Smith knew which one was which. And I know that they did indeed appear to Joseph Smith and inform him that none of the churches were true. That there was a lot of good in a lot of churches, but it was time for the Church of Jesus Christ to be restored to the earth. And I know that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is that church, and has come down from Joseph Smith to Brigham Young down to currently President Nelson. I know that while life might not appear fair, and this year I have felt some things that didn't seem very fair, and sometimes life, if we look at it just in this perspective from birth to death, it isn't fair. But in the big picture, it is fair because God knows all. God is recording everything that you think and that you say and that you do. And that tape will be replayed. I still use the word tape because I guess they don't use tapes anymore. But the only things that won't be on that when that tape is played is the sins you commit that you repent of. If you choose to repent, it is erased. It's not there. And I know this is true. Now, how could I know that? A dumb club hopper like me that grew up hauling hay and milking cows. There's a lot of reasons and ways that I know that. I like to remind people of my grandmother, Edith Haws Eyring, who lived to be almost 100. And as her body remained strong, her mind went away. And she got to where she didn't know who I was when I came to see her. But if I'd tell her, then she knew who I was and everything was cool. Then she regressed to where she wouldn't know who I was even when I told her. Then she regressed to where she didn't even know I was there. But the last thing that she could remember, or when she could still remember way back, she couldn't remember me in my 50 or 60 years. I'd ask her, "Well, Grandma, can you remember Mexico? When you grew up in Mexico?" And she'd say, "Well, I ought to. My dad was the bishop in Chupi." But even beyond that, the last words that she could say, "I love the gospel." Now here's a woman that had spent 90-some years, born and raised in the gospel, been through, well, as an example of something she had been through, she was the mother of 11 children, and 7 of them died. So she had plenty of opportunity to reject the gospel or everything else. But she didn't reject the gospel. She knew it was true. I love the gospel. Another reason for my testimony was so many other people having testimonies. You know, my parents attending testimony meetings, fasting testimony meetings for 80 years, off and on. And I guess if there's a regret in my life, it's a regret for times that I did not choose the right. For instance, some of the obvious things are the fact that I didn't get my Eagle Scout. My dad wanted me to, but I didn't want to. I didn't go on a mission. My dad wanted me to, but I didn't want to. I didn't graduate from college. My dad wanted me to, but I didn't want to. And there's a lot of things, but I always knew the church was true. That testimony never wavered. And I guess you might say one day I decided to come to my senses and start acting like I knew the gospel was true. I always knew it was true. I always served in the church. But now my testimony is such that since Marilee has passed, I have decided that what few years I have left, I do not want to. Some people will ask me, "You've got 5 acres, you're going to start growing a big garden? Or are you going to get some more horses?" No, I don't want to spend what time I have left nurturing animals. I don't want to spend what time I have left nurturing plants. I want to spend what time I have left nurturing people. So that's what the rest of my life is devoted to. And I'm doing a lot of that now. And I hope I actually do nurture people.
So when you were young, we all talk about the moment of our, quote, conversion, or when we first knew that the church was true, that the Book of Mormon was true, that Joseph Smith was a prophet of God. Was there a moment in your life where you gained that realization of the truth of the gospel, or?
Not one particular moment. I never doubted it. Oh, I suppose I had some doubts and questions about things, but I just always knew it was true. And there were some specific things that helped me along the way. I remember in seminary, I'm sure Brother Merrill, who was the seminary teacher there in Chandler High School, never thought I heard anything he said. But I did. And one time he described the plan of salvation, the eternal plan of happiness, and drew it on the board of the pre-earth life and how we came to earth and how Satan was cast down here. And then when we die, we go to the spirit world for a period of time. And then there's a final judgment and the 3 degrees of glory. And that always stuck in my mind. I always loved that. And I still have a more modern version, I guess you might call of that. I've done, instead of on a chalkboard, it's a nice colored poster on the wall in my office. And but a specific moment, there wasn't one. It just happened it's still growing today. It's still growing today.